Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda and this is Amanda's Cozy Corner. Today we're going to do a super quick May TBR and a short April wrap-up. So most of the books that I read in April, I read for the Magical Readathon put on by G over at the Book Roast. I would really highly recommend you check out her channel if you're not familiar with it. It's a really fun readathon. It's over and done with. It was in April, but her next one as part of this ongoing Magical Readathon series is coming up in August, so not too far away. And she has some really cool little quests and year-long prompt TBR things that you can do to sort of accumulate points and grow. You have a character within this readathon, so you can move up or rank up your character by doing all of these little side things in between the two major readathons for the year, which is really cool. So the books that I read for the Magical Readathon was How to Murder Your Employer by Rupert Holmes. That was a library book, which I've already returned, so I'll pop up a little picture here. I also read the entire Witch Hat Atelier series. I think I'm saying that right. And I am so excited. That was such a fun, cozy mystery. That was such a fun, cozy read. It did have a lot more depth than I was expecting, and I'm really excited for the next volume to come out in actually later on this month. I can't believe it's May already. What else did I read? I read Dragonfall by R.L. Lamb. Sorry, I lied. It's Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb. I always want to switch the two letters around for some reason. I don't know why. It's just in my head. It's R.L. Lamb instead of L.R. I don't know. Anyway. This was I liked it. I really enjoyed this book. I think it's gotten some mixed reviews, but I thought it was a cool, kind of unique take on the latest, dragons seem to be the thing with Fourth Wing and all that. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great fantasy read, really unique sort of perspectives sprinkled throughout this book. It was definitely a bit more adults high fantasy in my opinion than Fourth Wing is definitely a more young adult romantasy. You don't really get that sense in this one. This is definitely more of an adult leaning book, so if that's something you're into, maybe give this one a shot. What else did I read in April? I feel like I did a lot of reading outside of the readathon as well. I know I did a lot of more Kindle Unlimited smutty erotic books that I don't really talk about on my channel, but I read a good chunk of those. I was just in the mood for that kind of stuff, I also read The Hawthorne Legacy, which is book 2 of the Inheritance Game series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I really like this series. It's kind of a fun mystery thriller young adult fiction thing. I say that with the caveat that I know that young adult books really are not my thing anymore. That said, I did find this very enjoyable. I wouldn't rate it highly anymore, but I think if I had read this, 5 or 10 years ago, right, I would have eaten this up. This would have been my favorite book ever. It's so much fun. It has a lot of just cool little mysteries, right? It's high stakes, but it doesn't really feel all that high stakes as I'm reading it as an adult. I think if I was reading it as a younger person, I would feel the tension a little bit more. I don't know. It's a weird way to say that, but anyway, it's a really fun series. I am probably going to finish the series and then donate the whole thing to a little library or something else, because I don't see myself rereading it, even though the first read-through is like I said, a lot of fun. So those are sort of the 4 books plus series that I read in April. For May, I'm gonna try a little something different, because at the beginning of this year I set some goals for myself and I really have not been meeting those goals. I think now that we are moving into May, the first 4 months of the year are done, and I'm sort of feeling like I'm not really living up to what I wanted to. It's a good time to sit back and like kind of review those things, right? So let me grab my reading journal. Let me just first start off by saying I have not been keeping up with my reading journal this year at all. This was something I started last year, and I was very inspired by a lot of the people I saw on social media kind of doing these journals, making these really elaborate spreads. Like, where's one that I'm proud of? Like, I did one for Ninth House and Hellbent, Book Lovers, The Love Hypothesis, right? And I've gotten kind of like more and more, this is Uprooted, I got more and more elaborate as time went on, and I'm trying to move myself away from that because I don't have the amount of time to sit down every time I finish a book and make a beautiful spread, even though I would love to. And so I'm trying to get myself to a point where it's okay to do a smaller spread, and it's okay to put a little less time and like layering and items on a page. I don't know, it's a personal problem to me for sure. I'm also just not taking the time to like print out the book covers. Like, I don't think I've updated this since January when I started. Anyway, that was a total side tangent. The goals that I had set at the beginning of 2024 was I really wanted to focus on reading from my shelf or reading from the library and spending less money buying new books. I have failed that completely. I haven't been recording or putting together videos as much anymore, like, or at all, really. I have like a ton of half-filmed videos that I just kind of like let languish by the wayside. Maybe we'll pick them up and finish them someday. Probably not. Who knows, right? But one thing I want to do this month is read exclusively either from my shelf or from a library or like Kindle Unlimited, right? I don't really want to be shelling out money for every book that I want to read, which is what I've been finding myself doing. So I've been purchasing lots of books. The majority of the books on my shelf, I would say I haven't read yet, even though I want to, and they still excite me. It's just like in the moment, I find something that I'm like, I would rather read that right now, and so I buy it, and then I read it, and then I never look at it again. So trying to be a little bit more mindful about what I'm buying and what I'm keeping on my shelf and in my house is kind of, it's where I'm at right now, because this is my sole bookshelf is right here. It is almost full to bursting. I feel like I need to either read these books and decide to unhaul some of them to make space for new ones, or I really shouldn't be adding to this by paying my own money. If I am reading library books or if I'm reading a Kindle Unlimited book because I have the subscription, I would rather do that because I'm using something that A, I'm already paying for, or B, is free and is part of, the awesome perks of being in a community that has a good library system, So, that said, what I have done, because I am such a sort of finicky mood reader and I have more books started than I would care to admit, is I really want to focus on finishing my started books, with the caveat of like, there's a lot. I could do this entire month with just books that I've started and haven't finished yet. That was a really long introduction for me to say I have gone ahead and made myself a little prompt jar. Let's pull, I'm going to start with 3 prompts. And if we get through the month and I finish all 3 prompts, maybe halfway through we pull some more, because I'm a mood reader, like I said, and who knows what I'm in the mood for in 2 weeks, Let's do this one first. All right, so we got a romance. We have a couple of possibilities. We actually have a lot of possibilities. I have been really into romances lately, so this is a really good prompt because I have definitely been craving a romance. All right, I have 3 choices for my romance prompt. I'm pulling a couple because I think what we'll do, I'm going to pull these 3, or we'll talk about them, then I'll pull the next prompt, we'll kind of create like a little stack, and eventually we will narrow it down to the 3 books that I must read during the month of May. So the first book is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I actually started this book earlier this year. I'm not too far into it. The Serpent and the Wings of Night. This one has been all over social media for a very long time. It's been on my TBR forever. I believe that there's vampires in this one, so that can be kind of fun, cool. Haven't read a vampire romance in a minute. And then to really mix things up just a little bit, I have a contemporary romance called It Happened One Summer. This is by Tessa Bailey. I've read Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey and I really liked it. And I've been, like I said, I've been looking for a nice, sweet, happy romance. So this is actually a pretty strong contender. Prompt number 2. A book that has been made into a show or movie. For a book that's been made into a show or movie, I think I'm going to read the next volume of Kakurio. This is definitely been made into an anime, and I know that. I have been working through this series kind of slowly as I find them in half-price books or like thrift bookstores. It's a very cozy romance about a girl who gets taken into the spirit realm. She finds out her grandpa was kind of a wild child in his youth who racked up a whole bunch of debt, and she had been put up as collateral for that debt and told she either needs to marry this ogre, who is the owner of an inn, or work off the debt in some other way. And she chooses to work it off in a different way. It is very much a like cozy romance, fantasy, right, with the spirit realm aspect, but it's very cute, and I like it. It gives off very like much a Studio Ghibli Spirited Away sort of scenario, where like things are not always going smoothly, but somehow it all kind of works out in the end. So I am on this is volume 1 that I'm holding up right now. I'm on volume 9. I just have it downstairs and I'm too lazy to go get it right now. Alrighty, and right, prompt number 3 is an envelope or typewriter on the cover. I have 2 possibilities for this one, I believe. Let me go grab them. For the prompt of an envelope or typewriter on the cover, I have 2 different options. The first is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. I started this, I'm only 30 pages in, but I've heard some really mixed reviews that like, you know, it wasn't a bad story, but it was kind of advertised in a way that didn't match the story. The second would be Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the second book in the Divine Rivals duology. Divine Rivals was one of my favorite books last year. I absolutely loved it. It ended on a cliffhanger. I got my hands on this one and I just could not bring myself to read it because I was so in love with, I was so in love with Divine Rivals that I just did not want to be disappointed by the ending of that story. So I put it off. But this definitely has a typewriter on the cover because I went out of my way to get the version that has the embossed, or the metallic typewriter that says Dear Roman. Because I believe that my version of Divine Rivals has the typewriter on the cover that says Dear Iris. So they match. This is it's kind of billed as a romantasy, or a romance fantasy. It is a alternate world. It's kind of a World War I inspired world about 2 journalists who become war correspondents, and they fall in love. It's a beautiful story. I really love it. I am hoping that we get to dive a little deeper into the more fantastical elements of this world, because there are a lot of things that are just sort of said and not explained in the book, in the first book, and it's not very heavy on the fantasy, right? It's just like some things are just a little different, but most things in this world seem to be very similar to like reality. I think this is gonna probably be my toughest choice, but given that I am reading. Oh, hi. Oh, do we have a girl who needs something? Hello. Given that we have 2 romanticides in the running for this prompt, I think. See, this is a really hard decision. I don't know what I want to read. This is the perils of being a mood reader. I don't want to make this decision right now. So I think we're probably going to put it off, and if I change my mind, we'll talk about it then. Yeah. I think, okay, so if I think for the romance prompt, so that was the very first prompt, I think I'm going to go with It Happened One Summer, because we have so many other romantic-y things in the running. So we'll start here. I know I will read Kakurio, and then we'll pick between A Study in Drowning and Ruthless Vows later, depending on what I'm feeling. So thank you for sticking through this one with me, guys. It has been a wild ride. Let me know which books you would have chosen, or what books you're reading this month. I would love to get some inspiration, or if you have like prompt inspiration, leave that down in the comments, because I definitely would like to add a couple more prompts into this little jar, and we will go from there. Great. See you guys.